Hello, my fellow comic book collectors. This is another in my series of controversial comics, and this is a character actually driven episode where we're going to be looking at what Screen Rant rated as the number 4 worst ever comic book sidekick. So that's a pretty high rating. So this character is from Captain Marvel. And it's a very infamous. Actually, didn't think he was that bad, but I'm going to get into his origin story and get into the whole controversy and show you how it really played out and what happened with the character. So, for those that are not familiar with Captain Marvel had a sidekick in many of the comics that was named Steamboat Bill. And they mainly called him Steamboat. And basically, Steamboat acted like Captain Marvel, both the Captain Marvel character and Billy Batson's sort of like valet. He would run errands for him, stuff like that. So he was kind of like a helper for Captain Marvel. Now, I'm going to read you his origin story, and I'm going to show you his last appearance as well. So I actually have both comics, so I'm going to show you my comics first. So the first appearance appears in America's Greatest Comics number 2. This is Steamboat's first appearance. My copy doesn't label it as his first appearance, but this is in fact his first appearance. And this is a fairly rare book. It's like one of those ones. I'll put the plastic so you can see it a bit better. So yeah, my copy is quite nice for a 3.5 actually. Even in this grade, you'd probably expect it to sell for about $1,000. So it's quite a nice comic. And this is his first appearance. Now his last appearance was in Captain Marvel Adventures number 48. So this is his last appearance. And you can see that it's kind of interesting because it's kind of ironic that this is the cover for Steamboat's last appearance. And I'll explain that later on. But this is a very ironic cover. So this is Steamboat's last appearance was in this comic. So let me read you the story, his origin story. And then you can sort of judge for yourself what you think of the story. And I'll explain some of the controversies as well. So I'm just going to switch my screen a little bit here so you can see it. So this is America's Greatest Comics number 2. As I said, this is where he made his first appearance. And it all starts out with this group of, kind of a gang. And they're sort of, doing gang stuff. They're robbing people. They're causing problems. And, there's, police there, and they're like trying to stop the gangs from attacking people. And so Billy Batson, Billy Batson, he basically acts like a reporter when he's like in his, non-Captain Marvel phase. And he was kind of reporting on what's going on. He's talking about the robberies and stuff. And, this is like a youth gang. So basically, he wants to sort of potentially stop this youth gang. And so I'll kind of flip to the next one. And so, this youth gang has got kind of a brutal leader, he's like kind of keeping these guys all in check. And he is one of those people who basically wants to get Captain Marvel. Like, the bad guys always seem to want to take out the main superhero, so that's kind of their focus. So they kind of try to come up with a plan to get rid of Captain Marvel. And so Billy Batson, he's like, trying to like do something about it. And so he talks to a bunch of people about it. And he basically, he shows how tough he is to the police, so that they know that he can handle it. He's the one that can maybe save the day and sort this out. So he shows the police this, and so basically what they do is they dress him up. They take him. He takes the police officer to the place where the crimes are happening. So these boys, what they're doing is they're like throwing rocks at cars going across a bridge. And, Shazam wants to show that he can kind of stop this gang from doing these bad things. So when he gets there, they have thrown rocks at this car, and it goes off the bridge. So, Captain Marvel goes there and he saves the car, or he saves the day, and the cop's like, "Oh wow, you're pretty awesome." And it keeps on going on. Like these criminals keep on causing problems, and they attack Captain Marvel, and they attack the police officer that's with him. But Captain Marvel's so powerful, he gets rid of all these gangsters. He basically uses the costume from this cop, and he dresses up like a police officer so that he can patrol the area and basically stop them before they even start. So he's like patrolling as a police officer. Now, that's sort of the setup for the situation. So there's a gang causing all these problems, and Captain Marvel is dressed up as a police officer to sort it out. He's kind of convinced the police officers that he can handle this situation a bit. So now we go to the park. The park has Steamboat Bill. Okay? Steamboat Bill is, he basically sells food like hamburgers, pop, and he's a typical, at the time, a typical stereotype of a black person. He's got the big lips, he's got the dark skin, he's, speaks with the vernacular of slightly uneducated, but well-meaning guy. He's not a bad guy in any way. And basically what happens is his food wagon gets attacked by these young youth gang basically, and his horse goes wild. Okay, so his horse runs off and is causing potential trouble. So Captain Marvel just happens to be patrolling as a police officer, and he grabs the horse and he stops it from getting away. So Steamboat basically, is like, "Oh, thanks," and he basically says, "Hey, these are the kids that are causing the problems," and Captain Marvel goes and beats up the kids. Basically, stops them from causing the problems. Now the kids get away, and they're now like, "Oh, we got to get rid of this Captain Marvel guy." So they come up with a plan. Captain Marvel, he's a guy. He'll like a pretty girl. So basically they set up this situation where they get this pretty girl to basically go to Captain Marvel and try to seduce him. It's kind of interesting. They have like this sort of baby in the carriage kind of thing, and they take this girl, and she kind of goes to Captain Marvel. However, the plan, this gangster, these youth gang's plan totally backfires, because the girl's like, "Oh, you're so handsome." She kind of falls for Captain Marvel, and she doesn't really want to be part of it anymore. So she doesn't really help in the plan. And so she basically lets Captain Marvel get away. He's young anyways, so he's not like a man. So he's just polite to her, and he doesn't really think about. He's kind of awkward around girls, so he doesn't really do anything. So the plan totally backfires, and the youth gang isn't able to use this trick to get the girl to get Captain Marvel. So the gang then gets mad at the girl because she failed to seduce Captain Marvel, and so what ends up happening is they start beating her up. So Captain Marvel goes to her rescue, and when he gets there, they try to take him out. They shoot at him with a gun, but of course bullets don't hurt Captain Marvel. And it's like one of those situations where the gang then attacks the other police officers that are there, and but Steamboat, being Steamboat, and he's awesome, he actually comes with his wagon and he just sort of gets in the way. He actually blocks the bad guys. He basically runs them over with his cart, and they with him and Captain Marvel then arriving, he basically they beat up the thugs. These are the older criminals. They beat them up and they fall in the water. Okay, so Steamboat kind of helped Captain Marvel in this case. He kind of did the quick thinking thing, and he basically got his cart to help out. So if you look at what he says, it's meows me again, folks, gangway. So he's, I don't know, talking a little bit strange, but okay. So then one sec. Oh, I'm going the wrong way. Okay, so then basically Steamboat comes over. Where's me freaking friend, the big cop? Okay, so he's asking where's Captain Marvel, and Captain Marvel, he takes the two thugs that are kind of drowning in the water out of the water, and he brings them over to get arrested. And you can see the way Steamboat talks, like, look, their water done shrunk his suit all up into little bitty one. Okay? And so he kind of talks a little bit funny, but nothing really too extreme. It just has a bit of an accent. So yeah, that's sort of Steamboat. That's how Steamboat is. So Steamboat, Shazam, his clothes got all shrunk from being in the water, and he changes into Billy Batson and leaves. But he's kind of impressed by Steamboat. That Steamboat was kind of able to help foil the plans of these gangsters and the youth gang as well. And he's like, hey, Steamboat, why don't you come down to my office? Like I do this radio show. Why don't you come down and maybe I can get you a job? So he actually offers Steamboat a job. He appreciates Steamboat that much, and they become friends, and that's how he ends up being Captain Marvel's sidekick. So it's kind of a reasonable story. I mean, the things that really bothered a lot of these people that try to get rid of Steamboat were the fact, just the way Steamboat was depicted as having big lips and the way he spoke. Okay, so that was kind of the big issues. Now, the very last comic that had Steamboat was this one. This is not my copy, but this is the one I found online. It's Captain Marvel Adventures 48, and this is the only page that Steamboat appears on in the book. He basically is there for a birthday party, and it kind of shows that they're friends. They have a big birthday cake, and he's feeling, Billy Batson's basically worried that he's going to have a nightmare because he ate so much cake, and that's the whole thing. And then that's the whole story. And then the story really just goes into a nightmare situation for Captain Marvel. He has a nightmare, and Dr. Shivana tries to basically attack Captain Marvel while he's sleeping. And that's the whole story. So really, it's just 3 panels with Steamboat in the in the final episode. And what's kind of funny is back to I'm gonna go back to me again. Back to this final cover. Now, what happened was a group of students actually were kind of upset about Steamboat. And these were like integrated students. So there were some black students and some white students that had been basically friends and, you know, as classmates. And they saw that the way that Steamboat was being portrayed wasn't really reflective of how blacks appear. Like they didn't want the big lips, the way he spoke. They wanted him maybe to be a better spoken person, maybe look more like not the stereotype of how they portrayed black people back then. And they wanted, you know, a slightly different version of Steamboat maybe. And, well, just to actually remove him from the comics altogether, which is kind of sad, I think. Why I was saying earlier that it's an ironic cover is, like, if you look at it, it looks like all these students are coming to Captain Marvel for his autograph. But you could almost interpret it as well as all these students coming to him and asking asking for him to remove Steamboat from the comic. And that's, to me, I saw that as kind of ironic. But what happened was, in 1945, a group of junior high school students, basically associated with the Youth Builders program, went to Fawcett Comics executive editor Will Lieberman and basically argued that Steamboat should be removed from the comics. And after issue 48, they did exactly that. He was never seen again in the comics. So I thought it was kind of sad because in a way, at the time, there wasn't really that much black representation in comics at all. Not just sidekicks, but no representation at all. And in a way, it was kind of sad that they took Steamboat out because he did show a good side of black Americans. He was the one that actually helped save the day in the very original story, where he used his cart to basically get in the way of the criminal shooting the police officers, and he helped throughout the series of Captain Marvel stories, Captain Marvel on many occasions. So he was, somebody that you could see as not like as a hero necessarily, but as somebody that is really instrumental in helping that hero, and I think that's a good thing. I don't see that as a bad thing personally. That's Steamboat. That's his story. That's his origin. That's his final appearance, and that's what happened with him. He disappeared as a character, and it's kind of sad that that happened. He was later replaced with the Talking Tiger, Tawny the Talking Tiger, so that became Captain Marvel's sidekick. So sort of an African character in a way too. It's kind of weird that way. That's, even though tigers are not from Africa. That's beside the point. Basically, that's the story of Steamboat. That's the controversy around it. I hope you enjoyed this video. I maybe rambled a bit, but I wanted to show you what I thought was kind of an interesting character, and I want to hear your opinions. What do you think about Steamboat? Should have he been removed from the comics, or should they have maybe modified him to be like, maybe make him look different, or do something to make him kind of fit better and be more sensitive to the needs of or the representational needs of Black Americans? So those are my thoughts on it. I'd like to hear your thoughts. And I hope you enjoyed this episode of Controversial Comics. Thanks for watching. Bye.